My name is Nico Steves. Podcasts this season will run 15 minutes each in a re-release of my book, The Constant Procession, the history of the Virgin Mary since she passed on. I'd like to thank you for your listening to these weekly Constant Procession podcasts, and also for purchasing plus spreading the word about my book, The Very Fine Light, which is available on Amazon.com. And I will be traveling to complete my next book, and I will be bringing you a few reports from the field about this upcoming book. And so, please keep checking my website, nicosteves.com, as I will be posting blog updates from time to time. By the way, keep me posted on what you're up to in the comments section of my website or via email at nicosteves@gmail.com. And now, enjoy this installment of The Constant Procession. Installment 14. Nations of the world aligned themselves during this Cold War period to one of the two opposing sides for any number of reasons. In the mid-1960s, on April 8, 1966, Time magazine declares, "God is dead." This statement reflects the intellectual zeitgeist of the times. The decade finds two of the World War II victors, England and France, struggling to regain their past might. America is being torn from the violence of the assassination of President John F. Kennedy in 1963. Also, the inevitable social upheaval from racial injustice comes to a head, erupting into riots until social change becomes the law of the land. Concurrent with these tensions is the widespread social protest over the Vietnam War. At the time, Egypt wanted to attack and destroy Israel. Egypt had aligned itself with the communist sphere of influence, and their military funded in no small measure by the USSR, who also trained their soldiers. Israel partnered with the USA. The world looks on with horror at the 1967 Six-Day War between Israel and Egypt. Chapter 25. An Apparition for All. One evening, far away from any remote hills, a new apparition of the Madonna occurred in a very different place. In April of 1968, in Egypt, at St. Mary's Coptic Orthodox Church in Zetwan, a suburb of Cairo, the Madonna appeared many times over a 4-year period. She had been seen by millions of people from different religious and non-religious backgrounds. The apparition appeared on the domes of the church for up to 2 hours or more at a time, always at night, but not every night, and not at regular times. The lady appeared in glittering light, so bright that her features could not be clearly seen. The light streamed across the church. She was invariably preceded or accompanied by luminous doves, strange bird-like creatures made of light, which did not flap their wings, but glided. The figure moved across the domes, bowing and greeting to the enormous crowds, estimated at times to be as many as 250,000 people. Sometimes she blessed them, or held out an olive branch. Even the Egyptian government director of General Information and Complaints Department submitted a report to his superiors stating, quote, "An undeniable fact that the Blessed Virgin Mary has been appearing on the Coptic Christian Orthodox Church at Zetwan," unquote. The vision maintained a complete silence. Sometimes she was seen holding the child, or as part of the Holy Family. All prayed in their own way. Muslims recited the Quran on their prayer mats, Greeks said prayers, Coptics sang hymns. Many people mentioned seeing the doves. The city checked for lights and could find no physical explanation. In addition to the Coptic Orthodox Church leaders, the Coptic Catholic Church, the Greek Catholic Church, the President of Egypt, Abu Nasser, and even the head of the Evangelical Church and speaker on behalf of all Protestant churches of Egypt acknowledged the apparition. They too witnessed, along with millions of Christians, Muslims, Jews, and non-believers, these apparitions over a period of years, from 1968 to 1971. The Coptic Church Patriarch's representative described her as, quote, "very quiet, full of glory," unquote. The large Christian denomination released this official statement. With great joy and humility of the heart, the confirmation that the Holy Virgin Mary appeared clearly on several nights at different times for periods lasting on occasion more than 2 hours. The location of the church in Zetwan is on the path that the Holy Family took when visiting Egypt. May God make this miracle a symbol for peace in the world and a blessing for our nation, as it has been prophesied, "Blessed is Egypt, my people." This official document came from the Egyptian Coptic Orthodox Patriarchate, Saturday, May 4th, 1968. And to the Egyptian government stated, quote, "Official investigations have been carried out with the result that it has been considered an undeniable fact that the Blessed Virgin Mary has been appearing on Zetwan Church in a clear and bright luminous body seen by all present in front of the church, whether Christian or Muslims." Unquote. The source here is an official government document entitled Report of General Information and Complaints Department, Zetwan, Egypt, 1968. Two important aspects accompanied this miracle. The first, an incredible revival of faith for many who witnessed the apparitions. The second, testimonials to the numerous healings that a number of physicians verified. Chapter 26, Keepers of the Light. In 1978, a new Roman Catholic Pope, John Paul I, dies just 33 days after he's selected as the new Pope. The world is shocked by his death and also surprised by the outcome of the next election for his successor. The successor is younger than the norm and non-Italian also. He is a Polish bishop, Karl Joseph Wojtyła. The name he chooses, Pope John Paul II, he energizes the church. Pope John Paul II believed very much in the Madonna's predictions. In June of 1979, he embarked on a personal pilgrimage to his homeland of communist-run Poland. Many people suspect this trip started the downhill slide of the godless communist superpower. At the time, Yuri Andropov is director of the USSR secret police, the KGB. Upon hearing of the new pope's announcement of a pilgrimage to Warsaw, Poland, he became filled with great apprehension. He issued a secret memorandum to Soviet school teachers. Quote, "The Pope is our enemy. Due to his uncommon skills and great sense of humor, he is dangerous because he charms everyone, especially journalists. Besides, he goes for cheap gestures in his relations with the crowd. For instance, he puts on a Highlander's hat, he shakes all hands, kisses children, etc. It is modeled on an American presidential campaign. Because of the activities of the church in Poland, our activities designed to atheize the youth cannot be diminished, but must intensely develop. In this respect, all means are allowed, and we cannot afford sentiments." Unquote. In the late summer of 1980, the people in Poland had reached the end of their rope. They had been under communist rule for over 30 years since the end of World War II. The people waited in long lines under this communist system for basic staples. Food shortages and a shortage of many other vital supplies ruled daily life. It is not just Poland, but rather every satellite state that has suffered under these systems. It is of little comfort to the Polish people that even in Russia the people endured these same problems. In the past, there had been efforts to break away from these oppressive state communist regimes, but they had failed badly. Hungary, back in 1956, became the first satellite country to attempt to break away from the system, with a revolt against the Soviet communist control. The USSR brought in tanks and attacked the protesters. The brutal response brought fear to other satellite countries under its godless rule. Czechoslovakia followed, but again the tanks rolled in to stifle their protests. Czechoslovakians ended their revolt soon after, as they remembered what had happened in Hungary. On January 20th, 1981, the new American president, Ronald Reagan, has a leadership style quite different from his contemporaries. Older than most of the recent presidents, he is a conservative. He is very open about his belief in God. He is a capitalist and an ardent anti-communist. The year becomes poisonous when he and the Pope, two of the most influential people in the world, are almost killed by assassins. On March 30th, 1981, just 2 months after entering office, an assassination attempt wounds but does not kill President Reagan. 2 months later, the attempt to kill Pope John Paul II occurs on May 13th, 1981. The second Fatima secret, the Holy Father will have much to suffer, became a reality. Their wounds being life-threatening, yet both men survive. June 24th, 1981, both men are healing when an apparition occurs in the Eastern European country then known as Yugoslavia. Near the dinner hour, 2 teenage girls are on a dusty mountainside road coming back to their village after they had gone out to sneak cigarettes. Ivanka notices something on a hill as they walk. She sees, to her surprise, the bright outline of a lady in white up the hillside, off to one side, and just beyond. The woman motions for them to come to her. The girl gets the attention of Mariana. They are unsure what to make of it. Meanwhile, Vika, age 16, is on her way up the road to find her friends. Vika describes her first reaction as she gets near to them. I thought they were looking on the road, not at the hill, but when I came close, they were saying, Ma, Vika, Gospa, which means, look, Vika, there is Our Lady. What do you mean, Our Lady? Was my reaction. I turned quickly, threw away my shoes, and ran back home straight away. I mean ran. At that moment, another teen, Ivan, came along, and I said, Ivan, they are claiming to see Our Lady. We don't have to see, but at least let us go closer. Ivan, who was carrying some apples, said, Let's go. He was full of courage by saying that we would go. But as we drew nearer to them, I turned around, and Ivan had run away. He was not there, and I was alone. At that moment I was alone, and I could not go back or forward. Something strong kept me there, and then, my God, they were calling me. Come, Vika, come! They asked me to come closer. I was afraid. I must not even look at them, especially not at the hill where Our Lady was. While I was standing there at the spot, wondering where I would go, suddenly something very strong possessed me, and in a moment I was beside them. When I came close to them, I did not at first look straight at the hill. They were telling me, Come on, Vika, look, Our Lady is waving at us while keeping something in her hand. I was afraid. I was afraid to look towards the hill. Then suddenly, maybe with the grace of God, I looked at the hill, and Our Lady was there, in front of us. They stood there, too surprised and frightened to go any nearer. Vika's account continued. There are no words for man to describe that day. It was happiness because I saw Our Lady, but still we're all human, and I wondered if she would come tomorrow. On the second afternoon, Vika, along with Mariana and Ivanka, went back to the place. We said that we would go and see if Our Lady was coming. We expected to see her, but still wondering if she would come. We went along the same road to the same spot as the previous day. Ivanka was the first to see Our Lady. I returned home to bring 2 more friends, Marija, who was also 16, and Jakov, who was only 10, because after the first day they asked me, Vika, if you see Our Lady, come and get us. We do not have to see her, but we would like to be with you. So I went to bring the 2 of them, but they were already on their way to the hill. We had nothing on our feet, and it seemed that we were not walking on the ground, but gliding above it. Suddenly we found ourselves at the apparition site. On that second day, those who were not so shy could ask questions, but mostly we were praying with the lady. On the third day, I took a glass of holy water and sprinkled it at Our Lady. I said, If you are Our Lady, stay with us, but if you are not, leave us alone. The lady smiled, and the water, which I threw, just flowed off her dress. Many of the villagers did not believe their tale. However, within 2 days, 3,000 people from other areas flocked to the hillside with the children. When the 6 visionaries began to pray at the site, all who came saw brilliant flashes of light, which seemed to signal the arrival of the Madonna. The apparition identified herself as the Blessed Virgin Mary, the Queen of Peace. Well, this is Nico Steves. I hope you enjoyed this installment. My book, The Very Fine Light, can be found using the title The Very Fine Light on Amazon.com. Please feel free to contact me at nicosteves.com. That's Nikos Steves, Steves.com. If you like this episode, and for more, share them with friends. This is Nico Steves. Thank you. See you next time.